Guys, I'm so fucking green. As most of you guys have probably noticed, Lanterns just came out this past week, and I think it's fucking fantastic. I've been a huge Green Lantern fan pretty much all of my life. I grew up in the prime Geoff Johns era of Green Lantern, so that's when everything was being pumped out to the maximum. We had a TV series, we had animated movies, we had video games. I mean, fuck, we had that Ryan Reynolds movie that sucked fucking ass and killed the brand for like an entire decade. Since I've been into Green Lantern ever since I was little, this video was a lot easier to make, and I just wanted to share with you guys everything I've read and would recommend about the three major Lanterns who appear in the Lanterns TV show. Alright, so we're gonna start off with the main Green Lantern in the comics, Hal Jordan. We're gonna start off with probably the best Hal Jordan origin, and that's gonna be Geoff Johns' Green Lantern Secret Origin. Now, this is part of the main Green Lantern title, which I'm gonna be recommending later in the video anyway, so redundant. But I just figured it was worth pointing out that this is the definitive Hal Jordan origin. It adds so much that we now understand with the character. It adds Sinestro as Hal Jordan's mentor, it recontextualizes Abin Sur's crash landing into Earth, and it sets up a lot of the Blackest Night event that comes out later, which is a very popular event. So I would pick this up. It's included as part of the Green Lantern Rebirth Compendium. Those of you guys who watched the previous Supergirl video know that I like to recommend a lot of Silver Age issues. It helps get a lot of the context for the character, and it's fun seeing where they came from and how they've changed to our modern age. So I'm just going to do a couple rapid-fire spitball issues that you guys can check out. Showcase issue 22. This is the very first appearance of Hal Jordan as Green Lantern. Green Lantern issue 1. It's the first appearance of the Guardians of the Universe, Masters of the Green Lantern Corps. Issue number 2, the first appearance of Qward. Qward is the antimatter universe, which harbors a lot of evil motherfuckers. Sinestro likes to fuck off to Qward all the time during this early Green Lantern era, so it's very important. It's also where his ring comes from. Green Lantern issue 6. This is the first appearance of Tomar-Re. Tomar-Re also confirms the existence of the Green Lantern Corps. Prior to this, it was actually written that Hal Jordan decided to call himself Green Lantern, and that isn't what the organization itself was called. Green Lantern issue 7. This is the first appearance of Hal Jordan's main nemesis, Sinestro. Green Lantern issue 9. This is the very first full Corps meeting in universe. During this era, Green Lanterns didn't really leave their sectors, and they never really were summoned to Oa either. So this was actually the very first time that the Green Lantern Corps met in full. And finally, to round it off, Green Lantern issue 16. This is the first appearance of Carol Ferris's Star Sapphire. This is another iconic Green Lantern villain who's really stuck around, and so I think you guys should check this one out. We're going to skip forward a little bit into the 70s for our Hard Traveling Heroes era. Now this lasted from issues 76 to 89. The Hard Traveling Heroes era featured Hal Jordan and friend Green Arrow as they took a road trip across the USA searching for the soul of America. This era dealt with a lot more grounded political issues such as poverty, workers' rights, sexism, race relations, drug use. It was really just a very intense book for the 70s. It's very historic. I think that it's a very interesting period for Hal Jordan's time as Green Lantern. This is when he started to question the authority of the Guardians and what was right and what was wrong and what was his job as Green Lantern. These political issues are very clearly making their way into the show. We've got a lot of stuff such as like immigration, John Stewart and his relationship to black excellence, and the rural setting of Lanterns also comes from this Hard Traveling Heroes era. I think it's very important to read this. You can find the DC Finest collection that has most of the issues, DC Finest Hard Traveling Heroes, or you can read these issues online. Alright, so unfortunately we're going to have to talk about Green Lantern Volume 3 and Gerard Jones. Now, Gerard Jones, just to put it bluntly, is a piece of shit, and he's going to rot in jail for the rest of his life for crimes that I'm not going to speak out loud. Now, I'm going to talk about Gerard Jones's Green Lantern material a lot in this video, and I just want it to be known that I don't support him, and I'm glad that DC isn't printing his work anymore. But if you want to separate the art from the artist, there is a lot of fantastic character work for all three major Lanterns, and other than Geoff Johns, he's probably one of the most important writers in Green Lantern's modern era. And so I'm more than comfortable saying, find these issues online, make sure that he doesn't get a dime off of them, but fuck him. Green Lantern Volume 3. This is a very interesting time for Hal Jordan as a character. He's gotten older and more gristled. He's lost everything that he's mostly cared about throughout his life. His job at Ferris Air, all of his relationships. This is a very reflective time for him as a character. It's about him rebuilding his life back up from nothing. I think that it's a very good book. You should check out at least the first 8 issues online. And if you like it from there, continue on. Alright, it's time we get to the part that everybody actually gives a fuck about. Geoff Johns' Green Lantern. This is the shit everybody adores. If you love Green Lantern and you don't think Lanterns is like Green Lantern at all, it's probably because of you love Geoff Johns' Green Lantern. This is the easiest era to collect. There's a million different versions of trades and omnibuy. Right now, they're putting out the Green Lantern Geoff Johns era compendiums. They're $60 a pop, and they're up through the Sinestro Corps War. And next year, they're going to be up through Blackest Night. This is easily the best era for Green Lantern in our modern age. It's a fantastic space opera that really just captures what makes Green Lantern so great. You've probably already read it, to be honest. Let's not lie. Geoff Johns also, since he's coming off of the Kyle Rayner era, is able to do a lot of work to make it easy to jump in and explain the Green Lantern Corps. He makes up a lot of new lore for the Green Lantern Corps. This is just one of the easiest places to jump in for the character. Alright, now we're going to move on to Grant Morrison's Green Lantern Season 2. Those of you who know me in real life know that I am a huge Grant Morrison fan. They like to take elements from the Silver and Bronze Age from DC Comics and remix them and reincorporate them in fun, new, modern, refreshing ways. This is just really good Space Cop Hal Jordan material. Every single issue is very self-isolated, but they all contribute to a larger narrative. Grant Morrison just has a fantastic voice for who Hal Jordan is as a character. They're very classical in their interpretation, not like the more 90s Kyle Chandler interpretation. But I think this is a very good representation of like older Green Lantern stories, because it doesn't really deal with a lot of the Geoff Johnsian emotional spectrum stuff, and so I think it's really worth checking out. You can collect it as The Green Lantern and Green Lantern Season 2 in trade paperback form. So yeah, check them out. Alright, we're gonna do one crazy one in here. We're gonna do Green Lantern Fear Itself. I really like Fear Itself. It goes with the legacy element of the Green Lantern mantle. It travels between the eras of Alan Scott Green Lantern, Hal Jordan Green Lantern, and Kyle Rayner Green Lantern, and what being fearless means to the three of them. So this is just a very fun snapshot at Hal Jordan's life and how it plays into the legacy of Green Lantern, which, since this is a show about Hal Jordan passing his ring to John Stewart, then I think it's very applicable. Speaking of passing on to John Stewart, the Green Lantern that everybody seems to have conveniently forgotten is actually the main character of this show. I really like John as a character. I don't think he's been given as fair of a shot at being the Green Lantern, and I hope that this show gives him that chance.
Green Lantern issue 87. This is the first appearance of John Stewart's Green Lantern.
This actually takes place during the Hard Traveling Heroes era. It's a little bit awkward to read these days. John gets the ring as Hal Jordan's backup after Guy Gardner gets hit by a bus. Hal isn't a huge fan of a black man being a Green Lantern, and spends the entire issue trying to catch him messing up on the job. But John is such a great Green Lantern that Hal's convinced. It's honestly a very weird issue to read currently, but it's very important to see how John starts off as Green Lantern in this universe, and how his early characterization was. He was very prideful, very brash, which he doesn't really have those traits anymore, so I think it's worth reading this just to check it out. And there's also not very many John Stewart origins out there anyway, so... Green Lantern issues 181 to 200. For reasons I'm not going to get into right now, Hal Jordan decides to quit the Green Lantern Corps. Since John was his designated backup, that means John Stewart is now the full-time Green Lantern of Earth. This era is honestly just a lot of fun. It just has John publicly flaunting around and being such a popular, well-liked Green Lantern, and Hal Jordan just coping on the sidelines going, to really get the vibe of this, just check out this cover right here. It's just such a fun time. I love how John has his public identity, and so everybody knows who John Stewart is and where to find him, and he really revels in that. This eventually leads into Crisis on Infinite Earths and Hal Jordan getting his ring back, Guy Gardner coming back from his coma and becoming the character we know today. So this is just a really fantastic era of Green Lantern to read. Next up is Green Lantern Corps Volume 1. This book honestly is kind of strange, to be honest. It's not really my favorite. It features Hal Jordan and John Stewart with a team of Green Lanterns forming a Green Lantern Corps of Earth after the Guardians decide to leave our plane of reality and say that the next Guardians will evolve on Earth. Again, this run has a lot of icky things about it, especially to do with Arisia. But Kilowog is introduced in this. John Stewart and his relationship with the fellow Green Lantern Katma Tui really blossom in this, and eventually he gets married. I also think this is a fun sort of era to highlight the differences between Hal and John as characters. Again, John has a public identity, and so whenever there's a sort of Green Lantern mistake, everyone goes to John because they know where to find him. Hal doesn't have to deal with the social ramifications of what he does as Green Lantern in the same way John does, and it starts to frustrate him. It's very good character work. Action Comics issues 601 through 606. This is part of the weird Action Comics Weekly era where Action Comics was split up into a couple chapters of anthology stories that released every single week. The main Green Lantern book had been canceled by this point because Green Lantern Corps sucked, so this is where Green Lantern appeared. This is kind of not the best content either, but the first story arc of this Action Comics Weekly era is Star Sapphire murdering John Stewart's wife, Katma Tui. This is a very traumatic moment in John's life, which is carried forward in a lot of his stories. Cosmic Odyssey. This book is honestly a lot of fun. It has art by Mike Mignola, and so it obviously looks fantastic. And there's so many fun character moments, especially with Superman. This is the famous story where John Stewart, because of his big ego, allows the planet of Xanchi to explode, killing everybody on it except for himself and Martian Manhunter. This is the most traumatic moment in John Stewart's life, and marks a significant shift in how he's portrayed going forward. He takes himself a lot more seriously. So this is one of the definitive John Stewart stories. You should check it out. Green Lantern Mosaic. Despite the fact that this is another Gerard Jones book, I have to say that this is the definitive John Stewart series. This is his first solo run as a character. He's not teamed up with the Green Lantern Corps or Hal Jordan or anybody else. And so this really allows him to grow and expand as a character. This takes the reflective writing from Hal Jordan's Green Lantern and dials it up to 11. This series honestly reads as John Stewart's personal diaries as he takes care of the Mosaic world, which is this combination of cities from all across the universe, hodgepodge together on Oa. The Mosaic world acts as a metaphor for John Stewart's own fractured identity. In the same way that the Mosaic world is made up of a bunch of conflicting different peoples, ideologies, and cultures, John Stewart has a bunch of conflicting personality traits and dreams and thoughts and opinions. And just in the same way that he has to learn to allow all of Mosaic to learn to grow together and become one cohesive whole, or risk tearing itself apart, John Stewart has to do the same with his mind. It's a very reflective series. It's the deepest dive into Jon Stewart as a character, and it is the definitive Jon Stewart book. Check out Green Lantern Mosaic any way you can online, because Gerard Jones can't make money off of it. Green Lantern Corps. Jon Stewart shows up during Green Lantern Corps during Geoff Johns' era. This is after the TV series came out in the 2000s, the Justice League show. And so we deal a lot more with the military Jon, which is more how modern audiences understand the character. And I also think that this is one of the better examples of military Jon. Yeah, you were already going to check it out, so do it. Green Lantern War Journal. This is a very recent Jon Stewart book. It deals with him, focusing again on him dealing with his pride and what that means to him, with the loss of his family and how he ties into his human self these days. It's another very good book. You can find this one in stores still, I believe, so you should check it out. Alright, before we go, I just wanted to do a little bit of Guy Gardner reading because he's my personal favorite Green Lantern. The very first thing that I want to recommend is Justice League International. This was a period of the Justice League where most of the major players weren't allowed on the team. And so Guy Gardner got to be the main Green Lantern. This is where a lot of his main characterization comes from. And so you should absolutely check it out. It's very easy to collect in the omnibus form or in compendiums. So just check it out. Green Lantern Volume 3, Issues 9 through 12. This is the Guy and His Nort story, and I really love it. This is the first solo-ish Guy Gardner story. It focuses a lot on his insecurities and starts to hint at the troubled past he had growing up. Also, Nort is just a really funny pairing with Guy Gardner. Next up is Green Lantern issue 25. This is the climactic battle between Guy Gardner and Hal Jordan over who gets to be the Green Lantern of Earth. Spoiler alert, it's Hal Jordan. At the end of this issue, Guy Gardner actually loses his Green Lantern ring, and so he's forced to figure it out from there. And from there is Guy Gardner Reborn. This series has Guy Gardner pairing up with Lobo as he tries to figure out how to have superpowers after not having his Green Lantern ring. He ends up stealing Sinestro's Quardian Yellow Power ring. Lobo is a fantastic pairing with Guy Gardner because he's the natural endpoint of where Guy Gardner's personality and actions will lead. And it scares him, and he starts to become a more likable guy, quote unquote. From there, you're able to go on to the Guy Gardner solo series, which is a lot of fun. You guys should check it out. Going back to Geoff Johns again, we've got Green Lantern Corps. This is volumes 2 and 3. So we've got the Dave Gibbons and Peter Tomasi run. While Green Lantern Corps is a ensemble book featuring a lot of alien lanterns, the main human lantern for a lot of this book is Guy Gardner. Guy, after being away from the Corps for so long and going through a lot of character development, is a lot more ready to be a part of something bigger than himself. And this era starts to turn him into a more likable and, useful Green Lantern. Like I said, this book also pairs him up with Jon Stewart and Kyle Rayner eventually, so it's just a good time. I ended up liking Green Lantern Corps more than Johns' Green Lantern, so have fun. And the final Guy Gardner recommendation we're going to do is Red Lanterns. Guy Gardner has to join the Red Lantern Corps undercover under the orders of Hal Jordan so that he can gain information for the Green Lantern Corps. However, he discovers that he fits in better with the Red Lantern Corps and decides to stick around. This is another famous Guy Gardner story, and it's a lot more modern than all the other ones I recommend, so read it, man. Alright guys, that wraps up our Lanterns reading. I know it was a lot of books, but if you guys check out even a couple of these, make sure to let me know in the comments. Green Lantern is such a fantastic franchise with a huge variety of protagonists and tones and stories and settings. It's really just a very fluid series to read and get into, and so I hope I gave you guys a lot of different opportunities to try. And I'm looking forward to the next episode tonight. So, I'll see you guys with next video.